Hello and welcome to the Flare Factor. This is our first live stream with Scepter for Flare. My name is Lauren and I will be the host for today's stream. To kick things off, let me introduce our guests. From Kinetic, we have Jake. Kinetic enables users to engage in a variety of DeFi activities, such as lending, borrowing, and staking, all while leveraging the power of liquid staking. With Kinetic, you can seamlessly use staked assets like sFLR across various DeFi protocols, maximizing your returns without losing access to your liquidity. Next, we have the Flare Network with Max. The Flare Network is a blockchain platform designed to enhance the utility of digital assets by enabling broader participation in DeFi and other blockchain applications. It offers innovative features like FTSOs, which provide pricing data for various tokens, and F-assets, which allow assets to gain new capabilities and interact seamlessly within the Flare ecosystem. And last, we have Scepter with Lex. Scepter for Flare is a cutting-edge liquid staking platform built on the Flare network, designed to maximize the potential of your staked assets. By staking Flare or wrapped Flare with Scepter, users receive sFLR, a liquid stake token that allows them to continue earning staking rewards while still having the flexibility to use these assets across various DeFi protocols. If you have any questions that you would like answered at the end of this live stream, we have the Scepter Discord live Q&A channel. You can find the invite link to our Discord at the bottom of the screen here. I guess that way. We will be answering questions at the end of the live stream, and we will have each of our guests available for answering and a few hours after the live stream ends. So hit us up with your best questions. All right, now didn't know we had fancy things like that. Okay, now that I've introduced everyone, let's kick things off. So everybody has about 2 minutes to speak about key features and recent updates about their platforms. Let's start with Kinetic. Jake.
Hello, I am Jake from Kinetic. We are a lending and borrowing platform on the Flare network. Woo! Pretty exciting stuff. We're also pretty good at writing haikus. We have a running haiku contest where you can come in and write a haiku and post it in our Telegram. What do you win? You win that you wrote a haiku. So anyone can enter, anyone can win. Very exciting stuff. Other things to say about us. I don't know. We're a foundational primitive for any network is a lending protocol. We're very excited to be on Flare. We're very excited to, I don't know if you've met the Flare guys. There's this guy named Max. He's really handsome. Gosh,
well, maybe we should let Max talk
so
next
embarrassed.
Jake, it's always a charming introduction. Thank you so much. Guys, it's great to be here. Thank you for including me. I'm Max. I'm head of growth at Flare. As hopefully everyone who's listening and also everyone present here on this call knows, Flare is the blockchain for data. We're an EVM layer 1 chain with native oracles that are secured at the network layer. We have 2 main oracles that support applications running on the network. The first is the FTSO, which is a price and time series oracle, probabilistic data. And then we have a Flare data connector, which is launching, which will be for state of external systems, open APIs, which will support internet data. Both of these oracles are supported by the Flare validator set, and they're used to provide developers like Kinetic, like Scepter, like XDeFi, with decentralized, scalable, and cost-effective access to data from other blockchains and the internet. So yeah, it's great to be here. Great to kind of, I see also Santiago has joined. So good to be here with the applications launching on Flare.
Awesome. All right. How about Lex? You can introduce yourself.
So scepter is a liquid staking solution on the Flare network currently, using also key features of the Flare network. Of course, we use the FTSOs for the price data around Flare, but we also make use of the Flare drops and the staking rewards on the P chain. C chain rewards will come later when that is necessary. I think some important features for users are our auto compounding. So whatever you've staked and the rewards that come in are automatically staked again for you, and again and again and again. Risk spreading, meaning that we stake with a very long list of validators. So if some of them get slashed on their rewards for whatever reason, then the percentage of slashing is way less than it would be if you are yourself staking to a few of them. And I think probably the most important thing is that with your sFLR, you can actually make use of other protocols in the Flare ecosystem, which would normally be a little bit more difficult because, for instance, if you have RepFlare and you want to put it into another protocol, then that protocol would have to take care of you getting your rewards. And sFLR takes care of that, or Scepter takes care of that. And then I would really like to hear from Santiago, I think. Welcome.
How you doing? I'm so glad that you guys have me. I see Jake there. That's unfortunate for everyone. So Santiago Velez, working on XDeFi protocol on behalf of Syndric Solutions. Big shout out and thanks to the Flare team for supporting us this entire time. What we're trying to build is a decentralized futures protocol, which allows people to take positions on a variety of underlying asset classes, including crypto, commodities, precious metals, etc. And we want to do this in a really trustless and decentralized way where there are no intermediaries and where you can be fully compliant. So you can have 100% confidence that your counterparties are eligible for taking on counter positions. So we utilize the Flare network uniquely because of some of the attributes that we think other networks don't have, particularly the FTSO being a decentralized signal provider is very important to us. So you can't have any price manipulations affect the outcomes of futures contracts. And similarly with the EVM, the ability to set smart contracts and escrows that make it possible for positions to be settled with counterparties in a completely decentralized way. So all these attributes together were super important to us to achieve our objectives. One, I guess, last novel thing that we have compared to other derivatives platforms out there is a KYC token, or it's essentially a method of proving that you're an eligible counterparty. And that's unique in that, we don't ourselves provide KYC. What we do is we allow KYC providers to prove their essentially their process on chain, so that anyone on chain can be matched with anyone else in an eligible way. So it's kind of like a matching problem where, if you want somebody taking a position in Japan against someone in Europe, they know that they're both in the same pool of eligible parties and they can be matched. But if you have, say, a North Korea and an individual in the US, they might be on a sanctions list and it won't match. In that scenario, we don't take an active role in, blocking transactions or any of that kind of censorship. It's just, it doesn't allow transactions to proceed forward. Any case, I'm really happy to be here and very excited to partner with Scepter. For us, one of the main friction points was the idea that individuals would be very hesitant to use their Flare for any activity on chain because of potential losses of these rewards. And liquid staking provided by Scepter really solves that problem for us. So For our production launch, we're going to be integrating sFLR. So nice to be here.
Great. Thank you. Now that all of our guests have introduced themselves and their protocols, now we're going to open it up for discussion for our guests today. So topics like possibly the state of Flare, how the protocols are doing, or what opportunities do you all have for collaboration? How about you start, Max?
Sure. Yep. I mean, so it's been I'd say quite a crazy 2.5 years since I joined Flare initially. And it's great to see some of the updates and emerging upgrades to the protocols that are launching. Kind of at the moment, we are really very much getting prepared for the launch of FTSO v2 on mainnet. And that's going to include fast updates, which is price feeds updated at every block, which is quite a significant shift for us. And then there's also FTSO scaling, which has a shorter anchor price of 90 seconds versus the current 3 minutes. And there's going to be up to 1,000 prices available. Initially, it's going to be probably around the similar level to what's currently available on Songbird. And it's currently actually being tested on Songbird, which is kind of our canary network. Hopefully everyone is aware of Songbird as the canary network. And they'll be launching on Flare over the coming months. I'm very excited for the FTSO and in future the FTC to both be used as part of the offering that Flare provides. I think in the space we're seeing a lot of awareness start to rise about the importance of decentralization, how to provide on-chain finance with Oracle support that is decentralized, relies on a validator set, whereby the role of actually on Flare, the role of the validator set is incorporated with the oracles. It's linked. So in order for validators to earn rewards, they have to be performant FTSOs. And as the FTC goes live, also performant attestation providers to transactions that are taking place on external chains like Bitcoin. And these will support the launch of F assets, which is going to be the over-collateralized, decentralized, trustless bridge for non-smart contract chain tokens like Bitcoin, like XRP, like Dogecoin. And the opportunity for those assets to be used in protocols that are launching on Flare, Kinetic being one, XDeFi with the pricing and potentially as collateral to open futures positions in the future. Those are some things that I'm particularly excited about and proud to see finally sort of coming to the fore in terms of Flare's updates. So yeah, I think that probably is a quick introduction to the updates that we've got coming up.
Anybody else?
I have a question for Lex. If I use sFLR, will I still get my Flare drops?
Yes, you will get your Flare drops. And I'm happy to explain where you will see them. This is definitely the most asked question, I think, at least in the first 2 months. And we realized that it's a little bit different than you generally would see. So normally I'm aware of 2 different liquid staking type of platforms. And I guess this goes straight into the novel features of of Scepter, so that's great. You have the one-on-one type liquid staking where the price of your token that you stake is always the same as the price of the liquid staking token, which means that you have to claim rewards every now and then because they're dropping into the protocol, the liquid staking protocol, and you have to claim them. Ours doesn't work like that, so you never actually have to claim any rewards if you're good with that, because they are added to the pool. So the price of sFLR versus Flare keeps going up. And that is, of course, the price in Flare, not in USD, because we can't ever promise that one. I would like to promise that one, but I can't. So it means that, for instance, in a platform like Kinetic, which actually uses our price from the smart contract directly, you will see that there is more room to borrow, because it keeps growing, right? So, and the same might be true for other platforms in the future. You never have to worry about claiming the rewards in that sense. If you had enough of liquid staking, you can unstake everything, and then you will have all the rewards that you've earned during that entire period, boom, in your wallet in shape of wrapped Flare.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, sorry.
You will get your Flare drops.
I can't just say yes. That's just too short. Sorry about that.
I just want to make a quick point about that. The way this is structured, I think a lot of people in crypto are doing a disservice to a lot of people by having things too complex. In other words, they're either difficult to figure out mechanically, like the steps that you have to go through. It's a big barrier to entry for a lot of people, or there's some kind of floating rate that confuses people about maybe what something is worth. I think service providers like Scepter play a very important role, because as a service provider, they're doing something that lowers the friction and makes it easier for people to use this and not have to worry about the daily mechanics of claiming this or wondering what that's worth. But I'll note that what's kind of different between, say, a Scepter on a decentralized network and, say, like a Coinbase that's centralized, is that you can inspect the contracts. You can review the logic used for aggregating your funds, for collecting the rewards, for seeing how much, and that's a level of transparency that's not offered with some of the VASPs. And I think that's one of the big differentiating features that people should take note of. So you can still kind of get the benefits of a service, but with the full transparency.
Definitely.
Great. I guess, did we already talk about collaboration, or do we have any future updates that we want to talk about, things that are possibly happening in the next 6 months? Anybody?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can give it a shot. So we actually have quite a long list of things that we want to add to the protocol. Some of them are to make the transparency more easy, because as Santiago said, you can figure out a lot if you know how to. So there's a lot you can find in the contracts and such. But sometimes, or for most people, that is probably a step too far. So they need some kind of aggregation of the data. So for that, we will be expanding the so-called S rewards tab, which will show all the protocol rewards that come in. Currently, it just basically shows a graph of the sFLR price versus Flare, but we will be adding information like all the rewards that come into the protocol there. And the types of rewards. When I say rewards, I also mean Flare drops, which is not always clear. And in addition to that, we will be eventually extending also to the C chain. So we're starting to use delegations to FTSOs. That's more a question of when the APR comes at the point that becomes useful. We are also looking into ways to open up that non-staking period that we have there at the moment. It will likely have some kind of buy-in to the next Flare drop price, but that is something we're working on. I know there's more, but I can't currently figure it out without Jira. That is it's a long board. So yeah, those are some of the things that are coming.
that is really exciting about sort of offering the ability for switching between FTSO delegation rewards that include the flare drop or staking rewards that include the flare drop. And I know it's quite sort of unique to Flare, but this is going to be ongoing for the next sort of year and a half in terms of the flare drop continuing. And so I think it's a pretty interesting and compelling solution that Scepter is offering in terms of almost enabling toggling between the two, depending upon how the rewards are positioned on the network and where the higher reward rates are being generated. From my understanding, there's a good that's a good proposition in the space. I think I don't know if there's other chains that kind of enable that same functionality with the wrapping of Flare to kind of create almost like a vote to delegate to Oracle providers and sort of things like this. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my pain points with my personal Flare is where am I going to put it? What are the trade-offs if I have to lock it up for a period of time with a validator, or if I'm going to use an FTSO, and what's going to be my return? Again, it's like a service that it takes care of that question for you on an ongoing basis. They'll find out which one is better paying. But the interesting side effect of that service is that it will eliminate this arbitrage in the network between biasing against validating transactions versus providing reliable signal, right? Because both people will be able to essentially be compensated for their service to the network. I think the FTSO is just as valuable as the validators are. And so it would be a shame to see one APR just rise indefinitely, biasing it towards one part of the network without compensating the other. So I feel that that's unique in that it solves that problem. And that was never designed to work that way, but this service solves the problem.
That's great. When you guys were talking, I was wondering, Max, Jake, and Santiago, what are your most commonly asked questions on social media about your platforms?
If we put our Flare in sFLR, will we get our Flare drops? Yeah. Yes, that's our most asked question, and it's not even to do with Kinetic. Well, I guess people use it for Kinetic, but yeah, that's our most asked question.
For us, it's what can we buy a futures contract with? And to date, we've only allowed Flare. But in our roadmap, we have a whole variety of different currencies that we're going to allow, including stable coins, F assets, and hopefully have a futures market that's really globally FX agnostic. So people can match positions across currency pairs. And we know that no other platform allows for that. So it would allow for interesting combination of arbitrages. But sFLR really kind of solves the problem for us of, I don't want to lose I'm out on my airdrops. I don't want to take a position that's too long and maybe miss a reward. It's just a perfect solution for that. Now, I'll say that what I think is going to confuse people is that sFLR being a token that it's not one for one. We get that question a lot too. Is sFLR equal to one FLR? And it's not. It will float. And that floating part is calculated every time some reward comes in, either from the P chain or FTSO or in the Flare drops at the end of the month. So, that's a number that will change over time, but on an individual daily basis, for example, that number will remain constant. And so you can use it to match against other positions with Flare, with yen, with stable coins, whatever you have. So that's what we're going to do.
I will say the sFLR question is going to be beaten soon, most likely, because of the R-Flare question. Now we are getting lots and lots and lots and lots of questions about R-Flare because it says like on our site, like you're accruing this amount. There is a little thing under it that says claimable that is 0 for everyone, but nobody likes to read that little guy. They think that, oh, well, how can I claim it? How can I claim it? And they click the claim, it goes to Flare portal. They're confused It says there's nothing there for me to claim, and they scream and they come to me personally. And I send them the Flare blog, and then they don't read it. And then they come back a few minutes later, and I just tell them the answers they want.
So you're just torturing them then, like?
Oh yeah, I mean at this point, yes, I am torturing our user base.
Okay, all right.
I think that the emissions committee that put together the R-Flare emissions program, I would say that as all things flare, it's very well put together and interestingly constructed, but it isn't necessarily immediately understandable for everyone. And I think, so I mean, I could probably, that is part of probably one of the updates that's important to share is recently the community approved the allocation of 510 million FLR from the incentive pool to be available on applications that are incentivizing liquidity flows to Flare as the chain. And it's great to see that already some of these incentives are being made available to Kinetic and also via SparkDex to Scepter. And I believe also will soon be available on XDeFi when they launch on mainnet post the beta. And the R-Flare emissions program was basically created to enable dApps to really incentivize liquidity that comes to their platforms. It's one of the things that Flare needs in order to successfully launch F-assets. And any blockchain really requires that adoption. So it's good to see that the community got behind it, sees the merits in having an incentive system available on the network. And I think we're kind of coming into month 3. Every month, the amount of incentives available to be allocated by the emissions committee increases by 5 million Flare. So the first month was 15 million that was available, and that can gradually increase over the year to support the kind of the launch of more dApps and to kind of take into account the hopeful increase in liquidity available on the network as a whole. And so I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And it definitely sort of is a nice start as we head into Q4 and into the launch of all of these applications coordinating and working together with the different assets and tokens.
And we'll make a fun little image for our Flare, so I don't have to send people that article anymore.
Right.
That works. All right. Well, are you guys ready to move on to the next part of the episode?
Yes.
There
That
we
was
go.
professional.
Yeah, Jake, you don't get to go home yet. That was not the next next part.
All right. So in this next session, we are going to open the floor for any questions from the Discord. You can find the questions through the link that is shared here on the stream in the live Q&A channel. The first question is from Mr. Fresh. He asks, are there any plans on having liquidity pools directly on Scepter?
There are no such plans. I'd love to see more liquidity pools with sFLR, obviously, but I don't think we should make those ourselves.
All right. Let's see what the next one is. I think maybe this was answered already. But Draco Magnus says, hello, why is the value of sFLR different from Flare itself if the first is a representation of the second? And because of the value difference, what guarantees do people have that by investing on sFLR will not jeopardize our investments since the value might shift a lot?
The value can only go up because we only add Flare to the pool. We never take it out. So basically, sFLR can only be minted by using Flare to stake it. And once you unstake it, it is burned. So that's a 0. Now, when we add rewards to the pool, every sFLR becomes worth a little bit more than 1 flare, maybe in the future even 2 flare, who knows. There's no real limit to that, so it depends on how much we get in rewards. And currently, that's going fairly fast because of the obvious flare drops. And I assume later, when those are no longer available, regular staking and delegation rewards will not be that high. So that's where it will top off. But for now, that'll just continue. It will just go up compared to Flare. I have to say that every single time.
Well, hey, number go up sounds good to me.
Yeah, up, when up.
Went up.
All right.
Great. On to the next question. This one's from Masta Kala. It says, will SGB be available to stake on the Scepter platform or any of the other platforms in the future? I heard SGB staking is being worked on, so just wondering to what extent.
All right. I don't know about the staking. That's probably more Max's territory. But as far as liquid staking goes, we don't have plans at the moment to include Songbird in that. But who knows? Depends on if we see opportunity, we will definitely make it happen.
Okay, let's see what the next question is. Some of these have been answered already. This question's from Smashed Particle. They say, which future exchanges might list sFLR, please?
Every future exchange? Any DEX that comes, of course, to the Flare network will likely list it in one way or another. And I can't really say anything for central exchanges. I know that's, at least I know from my standpoint, that that's extremely expensive thing to do. So, if it makes financial sense, I'm sure we will do it. But for now, I think every DEX that we can find on Flare, we will hopefully have a pool.
Has anyone ever listed a staking token on a centralized exchange?
I don't know.
Yeah, I ain't never heard of that personally.
Why not?
I guess it's possible, but
yeah. I really don't know. I think it's usually not done because you can usually just exchange it first on a DEX and then move it on. So there's no real incentive, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Smashed Particle.
All right. There's another question from Swoopers4120. They say, currently there's no liquidity pool directly on Scepter. Where do you pull the data for the trading from? Inosis?
Assuming they mean the price data of sFLR, we take the Flare price from the FTSO and multiply that with the exchange rate, and that's the price of sFLR. So that's where we get it. We don't get it from a DEX because DEX pools, they can be very volatile, and that is not the case for this price, at least when you unstake. So that's the price you see.
Which is a good thing, a good entry point for a question I get asked a lot, which is, when are you going to support the asset USDX? And it's for the same reason, baby. It's not integrated into FTSO yet. It wouldn't be very safe for us to slap that boy in there if we're just looking at the DEX price. Be pretty easy to manipulate. And then people get liquidated, and then they stop writing haikus, and they start writing angry messages to me.
Or angry haikus, maybe.
I'd take an angry haiku.
Okay, we got our first question on Twitter. Someone asked, when will AI come to Flare?
I'm here, baby.
I can tell you. Go ahead, Max.
Oh no, go on, Santiago. No, it's more important at the dApp level for sure.
Oh, I mean, we intend to bring AI to XD5 features. What we want to do is give the traders a very high-level assistant to be able to make better decisions about their positioning. So that includes aspects of technical analysis, fundamental analysis, where certain data sets might affect outcomes. And that's going to align with our roadmap in terms of duration. So the further out into the future you're trying to guess the price of something or the outcome, the more important it will be to have larger and larger data sets that can give you good recommendation engines. And we call them probability distributions, right? That the outcome is 50% this, 30% that, 20% this, just to help the user make those decisions. So as we build that out as an assistant, we want to use as many of the data streams provided by Flare as possible to construct the data sets. Because if you construct models with garbage in, you're going to get models with garbage out. So we want to make sure that the data going into those models is of a high pedigree and it is reliable. So that's our plans, at least for AI integration. And we're hoping that as the FPSO version 2 rolls out, that data set will be even richer, and our models will be even better.
I think so. In terms of AI, there's definitely a lot of thought at the moment that's going into off-chain compute. And one of the intentions is for the FDC to be available for validators to source data, and then for inferences to be created by off-chain compute, and then for those to be brought back on chain. It's one of the areas that Flare is definitely working on integrating. There isn't a specific update that I have at the moment. I believe that there is a paper that was created by some of the data science team and the engineers at Flare that discussed some of the AI functionality that could be worked on in terms of algorithms. But I think in terms of updates, I would definitely keep an eye on our Twitter for anything that's announced. And as said, it is something that we're looking to really dig into. And I know that some of the dApps that are launching on Flare, including XDeFi, are very much keen to make use of AI in their applications. And I think it will be great to get to see some of that happening.
Great. Let's see. I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It says, question to Max, is FDoge still going to come after FXRP and FBTC?
Well, I'd really like to see it. We definitely have FTSO support for it. I definitely think that it will be part of the sort of the next step of the state connector being the FTC. I would keep an eye on Twitter and see when the announcements come out.
Yes, we're not allowed to give financial advice. All right, we have one last question from the user, Warlock in Key. He asks, if we turn our Flare into sFLR, will we still get our Flare drops?
Well,
you won't. Just you.
Me, I won't. Dang it! I knew there was something wrong with this whole system. It's biased, I say. Biased.
Absolutely. No. I actually do have a question, but I'm sure I'm not going to get an answer. Santiago, my question is going to be when.
When we integrate?
When live?
When?
We go live, hopefully at the end of this month, which is pretty soon, maybe next week. And we're going to launch with sFLR. So we've already started integrating the smart contracts and calling what we can call. So as soon as sFLR is ready, we'll be ready. As soon as our platform launches, we want to give that option to our users. So that's our plan. Right away.
Eek, exciting stuff.
I love it. All right. Well, I guess now I can say thank you all for coming to the very first Flare Factor with Scepter. Do you guys have any upcoming events that you would like to advertise? Any AMAs or other Discord events, or best ways to keep in the loop with your platforms?
Time to shield, people. Come on.
I will say there is going to be an exciting announcement soon for my little jewels out there, my little jewel holders, regarding something relating to exchanges. What could that be? I don't know. Speculate. I mean, don't speculate. No financial advice.
No financial advice. All right. Well, if no one has anything else to say, thank you again for coming. And like I mentioned in the beginning, we will keep the Q&A open for a few hours so that we can wrap up any questions you may have had today. So far, we have Kinetic on our Discord, so you can leave him some questions unless the other two would like to join. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.